Yeah, so I came to New York for graduate school. I applied in 2017, not for photography. I was always interested in photography as a kid. I don't know, I never had a camera or anything, so when I had student loan money, I finally was able to buy a nice camera, and I kind of schemed my way into a class at Tisch, which was a documentary class. And for our midterm, we got to photograph anything we want. I ended up photographing the national wheelchair basketball tournament, finals, which is where I met my friend Alex and my friend Don and Adi, who are in all the pictures. And mostly my friend Alex introduced me to kind of his circle of friends. And me and him just clicked. He had an accessible van. I was new to the city, so he would just drive me around everywhere. He showed me the whole city from Harlem, Washington Heights, Bronx, Crown Heights, wherever. We just went. It really just was a family. I don't know, I was this new kid in the city. We used to do these dinners on Sunday night in Harlem. My friend Azalea's apartment in the Grant houses over on Amsterdam. And it would just be 20 wheelchair users in this little apartment, and everyone would just be cooking up, and it was a potluck. And yeah, I don't know, I just started making pictures, and it wasn't even really a project until my professor, he was just helping me look at stuff, and he saw all the photos of me and my friends, and he was like, yo, we don't really see pictures of your community like that. You should forget about focusing on wire stuff and just keep photographing you and your friends, but more with a critical eye, essentially. So that's kind of how that started, and it just has never stopped, I guess. So yeah, it's just ever evolving. I feel that's kind of the cool thing about it, is it is just me and my friends, so we're all just super comfortable with each other. And if I want to do something weird, or they want to try something, now I'm not so focused on, oh, it has to be documentary. At this point, I'm interested in actually going and making short films with people, and staging a bunch of stuff and whatever. At the end of the day, it's all just the truth of who we are as a family and a community. So however we can get that out, I think is what I want to do. The ADA is such a unenforced law. So many people get away with not following ADA code for a million reasons. And the disabled community is one of the most marginalized communities out there. I feel the community is so far behind so many other groups as far as getting equal rights and equal facilitation, not just physically, but to other institutions education and employment and job sectors and all of that. So at first, that's really what the work was really head on was about, disability rights and human rights. And I used to be very vocal about that, front and center. And it's been interesting because I kind of got tired of that in a way. I feel and me and my friends would talk about this too, it was always being just really seen as for your wheelchair or your disability or my leg braces, or when you're in public, people really do stare at you, and a lot of people would call me a disabled photographer, and I'm just yo, that is a part of it. Obviously I can't divorce myself from disability, and I don't want to. That is a big part of me. It's an inextricable part of my identity. However, sometimes that gets exhausting, just being seen as the disabled photographer, or the wheelchair users or whatever. I feel a lot of times people who are able-bodied don't really see us as just people, who want the same things as anyone else does. So now what I hope the work says is that, hey, disability rights and human rights is always going to be a part of the work. That's inherent in the work. But I really think that now I'm less interested in shoving that down people's throats. And I'm a lot more interested in just having audiences see me and my friends and my family as just people. I mean, you need laws, you need things to be enforced so that, things can change. There has to be stuff that's in the law books that's, tangible and you can refer to. That is a form of justice. But, you know, there's also like the form of social justice that's just like how people treat each other, like on a day-to-day basis, like how I see you as like my neighbor, which there's no law that says you have to treat me a certain way as like you don't have to say hi. Like, you know, I really feel like equality will come and people will care more about the disabled community if they just see us as people, as mothers, daughters, sons, fathers, people who have dreams and aspirations. Like, you know, like you may never have a spinal cord injury or be a wheelchair user, but, you know, for instance, like my friend Azalea, she's a mother of a beautiful little daughter, and like you could have a mother of a daughter who has no relation to disability, who's going to connect with her just off the fact that she's also a mother. And so I'm like really interested more now in like those universal things, like, because disability is such a specific thing and it's hard for people the everyday person to connect with that. So I'm like really interested in like emotional things, like talking about shame or ostracization or fear, because I don't care whether you're disabled or not, like everyone's felt like shame or fear or ostracized, or they felt pride or, you know, beauty in their life. Like, so if I can hopefully get that through the pictures, it doesn't matter whether or not the person looking at it has a disability, you know, they can connect to that. With my own work, it's kind of like what I was saying before, like, I just hope people of all audiences can come, whether you are able-bodied or disabled or whatever, any walk of life you come from, like, you can like look at these pictures and just kind of see like the universal like love and humanity within the pictures. Like, I just want people to connect to them on like an emotional level. When people connect to each other and they can really have real empathy for each other, not sympathy, you know, because like sympathy is based in like pity. So like the last thing I would want is for people to look at that and have sympathy, like, oh, this poor wheelchair user people, you know, like none of that. But like I really wanted to have like people to have empathy, be like, man, like, you know, it's so cool that, you know, you have all these people who are like just still doing their thing and are really good parents and friends, and, you know, hopefully people will leave with some empathy for my community and the people in my community. That would be really nice. And I guess overall, that's kind of, I guess, from what I've seen of the show and the people also I know in the show, I feel like that's, for me anyway, from my interpretation, is kind of what we all, it kind of seems like what we're all sort of poking at, whether, you know, it's my work in the disabled community or like Roy's work in the Bronx, or there's like this need to connect. Like, and usually when I talk to a lot of other photographers, like, that's something that always comes up, is like the will and the need to connect with people for like whatever reason. It's like bizarre that like as a group of people, as photographers, like there's a million things we could be doing as people, but I've noticed, like, especially like documentary photographers or story photographers who use their, you know, lens to tell a story, it's like such a niche little thing, and most of the time you talk to people, it's like, yeah, it's about this, but like, why do you do it? And it's like, well, I don't really know. I just have to do it. And I think a lot of times it ends up coming to, connectedness, wanting to connect, wanting people to connect to your work and the stories you're telling. I guess we're all really just storytellers, trying to get people to take notice of what we're doing. And this show has so many different communities that are marginalized and go underrepresented in so many ways. So I think it makes sense why we're all telling stories, you know, like that need to get the narrative out.